Part 189. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1886. Yes, since they have started to make plans in the fairy world, then obviously, after so many years, they must still be making plans in the demon world. Xianxia took a deep breath, just in time to see Zuyun and He Mengwei falling towards the same place. It's not that I don't have confidence in them, but I'm very worried about the Nightmare tribe. Having said this, Shi Weiyuan had nothing to say, but he was thinking in his heart, should he talk to Zuyun and Mengwei about this later? Zuyun, you came at the right time. I was planning to let you take some demons to your universe world first. After landing by a lake, Mengwei immediately talked about business. Zuyun chuckled lightly and said, "Why are you so anxious and don't want to wait for unification?" Mengwei smiled bitterly and said, "How can it be so easy? The Holy Demon clan seems to be beautiful on the surface, but in fact, after the totem pole was destroyed, it is actually weak. There was no problem originally, but who would have thought that many ancient demon clan would it suddenly appeared? The ancient demon clan." Zuyun was also chanting these 4 words in his mouth, and then said, "Isn't it possible that the ancient demons had difficulty adapting to this chaotic sea of stars and the fairy world, so they slowly died out?" "Who said that?" Mengwei gouged out Zuyun and said, "They are just more difficult to reproduce than ordinary demons, and they are not really dead. Moreover, after our holy demon clan made such a big splash, many ancient demon clan actually came looking for us. Please let me stop this internal conflict, otherwise, they, the ancient demon clan, will join forces to deal with us, the holy demon clan." "I see," Zuyun nodded and said, "then, which demon clan do you want to let enter the great universe world first? Besides, have you told them about the great universe world? The demons who surrendered, such as Shi Weiyuan of the soul-eating demon clan, as I said, did not receive any resistance and were very obedient. In fact, most demons are like this, but some, well, it's hard to describe in a word. Then let's not talk about it, let's start with the soul-eating demon clan. Then, what about the three-eyed demon clan? I can see from Xianxia's actions that the three-eyed demon clan seems a little reluctant." Zuyun stood up and looked in the direction of Xianxia, but he didn't expect that from such a distance. He actually felt that Xianxia seemed to be looking at this place, and he couldn't help but be stunned. "They definitely don't want to," Mengwei said with a chuckle, "although the three-eyed demon clan is only on the periphery of the chaotic star sea, its strength is not weak, and their magic pupil technique is also comparable to ours. The holy demon clan has a certain relationship. If it weren't for that, I would have destroyed them right then." "No wonder, Xianxia makes a lot of tricks." Zuyun looked away and smiled, "then we might as well accept the three-eyed demon clan." Mengwei was stunned and said, "Zuyun, if you take in 2 clans in a row, will it have an impact on the world of the universe? Moreover, the three-eyed demon clan." "It won't have any impact," Zuyun interrupted Mengwei with a smile and said, "I forgot to tell you, my universe world is no longer the original universe world, let alone the three-eyed demon clan, even if I can fit into the entire sea of stars. But I haven't found a way yet." "Real?" Mengwei suddenly became overjoyed and said, "If it is feasible, we, the holy demon clan, should be included first." "Are you so impatient?" Zuyun was stunned. "We are desperate. The war has started, but it cannot be stopped. It is like overflowing water and it is difficult to recover. I rejected the ancient demon clan, and they are probably preparing to take action. If Shi Weiyuan hadn't brought back the news that you were in chaotic star sea, so would I plan to gather all the tribesmen and stay on the holy demon star to fight them." Zuyun suddenly frowned and said, "Then why don't you come to me?" In contrast, he cares more about Mengwei's life and death. As for the demons, to be honest, After the completion of the Liuli immortal realm, he no longer needs the demons in this chaotic starsea. It's just that I had a word with Mengwe first, and I didn't want to break trust and let Mengwe down. The immortal world is so vast, where can I find it? Besides, I still have the identity of the demon lord in the holy demon clan. Not to mention doing evil, most people would not dare to disobey. But after going to the immortal world, Mengwe shook his head and revealed his aura. Demonic energy and immortal power coexisted, and at the same time, this immortal power also contained a faint aura of heavenly fire. I am not even as good as immortal Luo Tian. What is the difference between going to the immortal world to find you and seeking death? Zuyun knew that Mengwe was worried that his words would implicate him, so he stepped forward and held her tightly in his arms. After a while, he said, "Stop talking about anything else, now I'm here. It's just the right time for you to enter. Let's go and see this Liuli fairyland." After the words fell, a black spot suddenly appeared between Zuyun's eyebrows. Mengwe looked over subconsciously and immediately felt an endless suction. She was just stunned for a moment, and before she could react, she already felt like she was falling into an abyss, as if she was in a black hole. But the next moment, Mengwe saw the familiar immortal mansion and stood there in a daze. In the immortal mansion, immortal power is lingering. The whole world is even more so. The chaotic fairy power that is very similar to Zuyun's aura fills the entire world. In addition, Mengwe felt as if he had returned to the fairy world. If it weren't for the immortal mansion in front of her. How does it feel? Zuyun suddenly appeared beside her. Mengwe didn't say anything, but raised her hand, and the sky fire dragon emerged from her palm. Feeling, very good. As soon as she finished speaking, a red light flashed on the plaque of the immortal mansion, and after falling to the ground, the dragon stone stood in front of Mengwe in human form. "Madam." He was still a little uncertain. Because Zuyun said he was going to the Chaos Star Sea, but he didn't expect that it would take so long for Mengwe to find him. "It's me." Mengwe smiled, and the dragon stone was also an old acquaintance. At this time, a sword light flashed across the sky. The sword energy was majestic, and the laws were lingering. Feeling the incomparable aura of the immortal lord, Mengwe looked up in fear. Zuyun only had Luo Tian Xianxia, so how could there be an immortal lord in this fairy world? "Don't be afraid, it's Lao Wan." Zuyun also smiled and raised his head. As soon as Wan Potion moved, he felt it. Old Wan? Wan Potion, the sword immortal. The long silent memory came back to Mengwe's mind. Yes, it's him. Zuyun narrowed his eyes, but only then realized that Wan Potion was not alone. On a huge flying sword, several people stood on it. Big Dog with a round head, Ergo with a pigtail. There were also many sword practitioners such as Yezi. It turned out to be him, and there were many acquaintances. Mengwe calmly put the magic knife back into his sleeve, smiling. If Zuyun hadn't said who it was, she would have jumped up the next moment and blocked Zuyun. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1887. Little Wish. Palace Master Meng Xiao. Various titles rang out almost at the same time. Wan Potion also breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I was scared to death. I thought someone had discovered this glazed immortal realm. I don't even want to practice sword practice anymore. Come here quickly." "Lao Wan, this Liuli immortal realm is not in chaos, who else can come?" Zuyun smiled and said, "But it's good that you guys are here. We can discuss things together." "What's up?" Wan Potion couldn't help but trembled. He also knew that he was the only immortal king in this immortal world. Zuyun discussed with him. The matter was obviously not a small matter. "How much do you know about the demons?" Zuyun did not answer directly, but ask such a question first. Demon. Wan Potion was stunned for a moment, and then said, do you want to bring the demons to this fairyland to survive? He is not stupid. Zuyun mentioned that the demon clan must be like this. Although these days, he has been practicing swordsmanship here, hoping to reshape Wanpashan and the Chaos Sword. But from time to time, I will also think of issues that Zuyun has also thought about. How do the Liuli immortal world and the immortal world exist at the same time? Moreover, what he least expected was that Zuyun could travel between the two immortal worlds so easily, and there seemed to be no problems. Is it immortality? Or are they higher than the rules of immortality? Wan Potion has never been able to figure this out, and he also feels that Zuyun is a person with no limits. Yes, Zuyun chuckled and said, according to my understanding of the world of the universe, the more diverse and numerous the creatures in the world of the universe are, the greater their help will be to my own strength. Come to think of it, the same is true for the Liuli immortal world. In addition, the vastness of the Liuli immortal world is not limited to this land that was originally transformed into the great universe. Lao Wan, you are the immortal lord, have you ever flown out to see it? Wan Potion smiled bitterly and said, I have flown away before, but I didn't dare to fly too far. I was afraid that I would get lost and not be able to come back. Zuyun was slightly surprised. How do you feel outside this world? Zuyun has never been there. Although he is very sure that this is in his Zifa consciousness, see, it is just a look, not a personal experience. How should I put it? Wan Potion scratched his head and said, I have some imagination with chaos, but there is one thing missing. Chaos force. Zuyun clearly knew that the chaos immortal power provided by the chaos lotus was in this world and could not flow to the outside world. So, is this the reason why his entire fairy world has not been fully formed? Chaos gives birth to 1, gives birth to 2, 2 gives birth to 3, and 3 gives birth to all things. But without the power of chaos, how could anything be produced outside this glazed world? Wan Potion's words undoubtedly gave Zuyun some inspiration, and at the same time, they also allowed him to decide on his thoughts. He looked at Meng Wei and said, after we get out later, let's talk to Shi Weiyuan first. Meng Wei said, do you want to try it with the soul-eating demon clan first? Zuyun nodded first, but then shook his head and said with a smile, no, let's try the whole soul-eating demonic star. As soon as these words came out, Meng Wei couldn't help but change his face, and said, Zuyun, an entire soul-eating demonic star is equivalent to a world. Can you, the immortal realm, take it in? Zuyun raised his head, looked to the sky, and said, how can you know if you don't try? Wei, you look at it with the eyes of the holy demon, and then, protect me with the law of chaos on the magic sword. Come to think of it, even if it doesn't work, I can still save my life. Zuyun, I don't want you to take risks. In the fairy world, I have never heard of anyone who can swallow an entire planet. No, there are still some. It seems that the whale-swallowing demon tribe has done such a thing before. Zuyun couldn't help but be stunned when the whale-swallowing demon clan was mentioned suddenly, but he could also guess that his own swallowing was completely different from that of the whale-swallowing demon clan, so he said, the whale-swallowing demon clan wants to devour a world in order to transform into the demonic energy is used by themselves to improve their realm. But I am not, I want to put the soul-eating demonic star outside this world. Soul demon star. Hearing this explanation, Meng Wei suddenly understood, but he was still a little worried and said, Zuyun, I still feel that something is wrong. If it fails. Failure is nothing but injury, Zuyun said with a smile, but if it succeeds, do you know what it means? What does it mean? Before Meng Wei could react, Wan Potion beside him opened his eyes in horror. Zuyun, do you want to put the entire Chaos Star Sea into your glazed immortal realm? If this matter were to spread to the fairy world, I'm afraid it would immediately cause an uproar. Zuyun said sternly, Old One, it is difficult for the demons to survive in the fairy world, and in order to survive, they will live in the sea of chaotic stars, and invisibly form an opposition to the human race. Do you still have reservations? The memory of Huang Xing. Of course I remember, Wan Potion sighed and said, the demon cultivators in the lower realm practice demonic skills. And even if the demonic skills have been modified, they still have many shortcomings. How many cultivators are there? So the cultivation went wrong, and the path to immortality was ruined, and the body and soul were destroyed. Yes, Zuyun also said seriously, for the continuation of the race, the demons will let the human race practice their changed demonic skills, so that they can reproduce and inherit a trace of the immortal way from these ascended demonic immortals. But in this case, there is only one human monk who died for no reason at all. Why bother? Wan Potion opened his mouth but said nothing. He knew that Zuyun was going to start from the root. So, Lao Wan, if I can put the entire Chaos Star Sea into the Liuli immortal realm, I recognize them as the creatures of this immortal realm, and they don't need to spend a few pure magic energy to resist the constraints of the immortal Dao. Wan Potion remained silent. Zuyun knew that he agreed with his method from the bottom of his heart, so he turned his head and looked at Meng Wei, saying, Wei, after letting them enter this place, I will not interfere with what happens between them. It's a bit too much to say that I will let them fend for themselves, but as long as they don't break the rules of this Liuli immortal realm, I can ensure that their race will not be destroyed. Zuyun naturally had the confidence to say this. In the Liuli immortal realm, he is the immortal Dao, and the immortal Dao is him. Zuyun, Meng Wei took a deep breath and said, I'm not sure if Shi Huiyan will agree. I'll give him some time to think about it, Zuyun said indifferently, if he doesn't agree, then you can help me find a tribe that will agree. Meng Wei nodded, and Zuyun also put away his thoughts and talked about the past with De Go and Ergo for a long time. Zuyun then said, you are still cultivators now, so it's just right for you to come here. I'll take you to the Ascension platform. Ascension platform. Everyone was stunned. Isn't this something that only Huang Mingxing's spiritual world originally had? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1888. Xianxian Terrace. Zuyun, did you do it? Wan Potion was very interested. Zuyun smiled and said, to be precise, I asked Longwu and the others to do it. If the demons enter the Liuli immortal realm, we humans cannot fall behind. That's true, Wan Potion stroked his beard and said with a smile, but are all the people here suitable? Zuyun looked over and saw most of his acquaintances who used swords. After thinking about it, he said, they are all suitable. After all, some people must become immortals first, and then lead others to become immortals. That's true. It saves them all from becoming immortals, having endless lifespans, and no longer wanting to become immortals. That's not a good thing. Wan Potion also knew that the upper limit of Zuyun's strength came from the strength of many creatures in the world, so he couldn't help but tease, Zuyun, if I teach you a few sword immortals, do you have to thank me? Zuyun was also happy and said, if there are more sword immortals, I will erect a monument for you. What monument? Wan Potion vaguely felt that Zuyun had some strange aura. Tombstone, Ergo said, shaking his head and waving his pigtails, when people die, more people will worship you. Ergo, do you believe that I won't teach you the way of the sword? Only then did Wan Potion react and couldn't help but curse. If you don't teach me, I won't teach you. I won't be able to practice swordsmanship. He took out his big sword and raised it, saying, it doesn't matter what I practice anyway. Zuyun laughed dumbly. It was okay to say Ergu. They were of the same age and were considered young in the entire fairy world. But Wan Potion is like a naughty child. Everyone walked through Jixian Mountain talking and laughing, and arrived at the ancestral land of the demon clan. The huge trial platform was already filled with immortal power, and was faintly glowing with the power of the 12 laws. Obviously, it has something to do with the zodiac. Zuyun, are you here? Longwu's voice came over, and then he landed in front of Zuyun. I'll bring Wei over to take a look. Zuyun turned his body slightly, and Meng Wei stood here handsomely. All the demon fairies were immediately overjoyed. They knew why Meng Wei left. Now that we have entered the Liuli immortal realm again, doesn't that mean the problem of chaotic star sea has been solved? They all turned into human figures and jumped off the trial platform. Zuyun smiled and said, originally I just brought Wu Ya in to take a look, but I suddenly thought of asking you to build the trial platform into the immortal ascension platform. It's better to choose the right day than to hit it, so I came over to have a look. It's just finished, Longwu said with a smile. Who wants to come up first and try it? I come first. Ergu was holding a knife in his hand, so he jumped straight to the trial platform. The two dogs belong to the ox. Niu Gang took a step forward and said, it just so happens that I am in charge. As he spoke, Niu Gang also jumped onto the trial platform. In an instant, a mysterious force suddenly appeared in Ergu's body. After his back solidified, it turned out to be like a big green bull. Am I born in the year of ox? Ergu murmured, and saw the same power emanating from Niu Gang's body, shrouding him. Ergo, relax. Niu Gang made a loud sound, and Ergu quickly recovered his thoughts, relaxed his mind, and allowed Niu Gang's power to flow into his body. Everyone stared at the scene with wide eyes, not daring to blink at all. Suddenly, Ergu let out a low roar. Moo. The big dog said worriedly, Xiaozu, Ergu won't turn into a cow, right? Free your 12 hearts. Zuyun was an immortal. At this moment, he was different from what everyone else had seen. He could completely feel that the two dogs were not only fine, but also under the influence of this bull's power. He came into contact with them. Arrived in the land of many laws. These laws kept passing through Ergu's body. It seems like they are trying to find out which law is most suitable for Ergu to practice. After a moment, Ergu suddenly opened his eyes. Immediately afterwards, fairy light shone down from the 9 heavens, and a beam of light suddenly engulfed the two dogs. Immortal light forged body? It's done. Everyone is aware of such a scene. Huangming scene had many immortal lights coming to the world at that time. What's even worse is that when Tang Liwen became an immortal, the fairy light in the sky swallowed up the immortal platform. Zuyun said nothing. In addition to watching the scene carefully, he also felt the inexplicable feeling carefully. He found that his immortal soul seemed to have grown stronger. This point is very subtle. If Zuyun's heart is not here, he will definitely not be able to feel it. It seems that if all the creatures here can become immortals, how powerful will my immortal soul be? Whispering in his heart, Zuyun couldn't help but look forward to the future. After recovering his thoughts, Zuyun looked at the trial platform. No, it should be called Xianxia Terrace now. I saw that after Ergu determined the power of a law, he became completely still. In his hand, he still held the big sword obtained from Huangming Xing. His eyes were closed tightly, as if he was comprehending the power of the law that had just stopped. He is recognized by some kind of law. Zuyun murmured, Ergo should be considered smart, right? As long as he can understand it, he can rise to the top and become a real immortal. The immortal light forging just now only shaped his immortal body, allowing Ergu to fully adapt to the entire Liuli immortal world. This allows him to fly out of the glazed star and not be affected by the void in the universe. As long as he can fly, he can soar freely in the universe. At the moment, there is only one last step left. Understand the law. Zuyun can actually know what law Ergu has understood, but he is too lazy to think through his own thoughts, and just wants to watch. As a friend. As a childhood friend. As a brother. In this way, it will be of great significance. Zuyun. Beside him, Mengwei was also a little nervous and held Zuyun's hand. Although she also has the law of chaos, everything comes from the world will of the yellow star. To be honest, Mengwei should be a demon body and fairy soul. It's okay, nothing will happen here. Zuyun gently patted Mengwei's hand, indicating that she should rest assured. Yeah. Mengwei nodded. At this time, the fairy light on Ergu's body suddenly dissipated. And the phantom like a cow instantly retreated back to Niugang's body. The next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and the braid behind his head also stood up to the sky. Ha ha ha, I'm an immortal. As soon as the words fell, the chaotic immortal power that was lingering around him suddenly rushed into his body, and then he controlled the laws he mastered and transformed into a phantom again. Knife. Everyone looked at the gray-white knife light that appeared behind him and couldn't help but be stunned. Wan Potion blew his beard and glared, cursing, "You little boy, you said you wanted to learn sword from me, but you realized the law of the knife? Are you kidding me? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1889. The sword has its own laws, and the sword naturally has its own laws. The 3,000 avenues are all based on laws. The Tao can be Taoized, and the Tao cannot be Taoized. Ergu laughed, flexed his legs slightly, then held the knife in both hands, jumped down from the immortal platform, and struck Wan Potion on top of his head. "Senior Wan, how about taking a look at my Wuji sword?" "Wuji, you ghost," Wan Potion yelled, looking at the fierce sword power. He raised two fingers and faced it lightly. Even if Ergu breaks through and becomes an immortal, he can only reach the realm of earthly immortals, which is far away from his realm. Everyone also laughed endlessly, knowing that the two dogs could not beat Wan Potion, and Wan Potion knew it very well. Condensing sword energy with two fingers was nothing more than a slight attack. But I never thought about it. As soon as the sword light arrived, the sword and spiritual weapon in Ergu's hands shattered into pieces. Huh! Wan Potion was stunned. He clearly felt that his sword energy had not touched the sword. But then, his expression suddenly changed. I saw that the broken blade contained murderous intent, and the sword energy was hidden in it. While he was distracted, Wan Potion was surrounded from all directions. Every sword energy attacks his weak point. Isn't this the wonderful effect of Wuji sword technique? Good on you, Wuji knife. Wan Potion cursed loudly, and countless sword auras flooded his body, and he allowed these sword auras to attack him. "You stinky brat, you can use my infinite sword." Before he finished speaking, Wan Potion's eyes widened even more. He discovered that his sword energy protection could not block Ergu's all-pervasive sword energy. The next moment, his clothes were torn into pieces and turned into strips of cloth fluttering in the wind. This scene made everyone stunned. The same goes for Ergu. "Senior Wan, I didn't do it on purpose." In fact, he was also playing around with Wan Potion. He had just made a breakthrough and was the most powerful. He must have wanted to test his power as an Earth immortal. The rest of his friends are just immortals, and he is afraid that he will kill them with one knife. Mengwei, whom he had always respectfully addressed as young palace master, was a woman, so it was naturally impossible for him to try his moves on her. Not to mention Zuyun. As for Wan Potion, he was an immortal lord for the first time and his realm was extremely high. It was impossible for him to hurt him. He could use all his strength to try the sword law he had realized and the Wuji sword technique integrated into the sword technique. Middle. The second is that Wan Potion has no formal appearance, He is like a naughty boy at ordinary times, and the other party will not take it to heart if he does anything. But he couldn't imagine why even an immortal lord couldn't guard against his sword energy. Chaos immortal power. Zhu Yun's eyes narrowed and he immediately discovered the key point. Wan Potion cursed and used his immortal power to protect his body, forming a piece of clothing to protect the key parts. Only then did he hear the 4 words Zhu Yun said. "Damn it, boy Zhu Yun, are you cheating on me? Isn't it the chaos immortal power of Zhu Yun's Xianxia realm?" "Lao Wan, I don't know." Zhu Yun touched his nose. He naturally saw why this was the case. He took 2 steps back and said, "Ergo is equivalent to getting the approval of this immortal. Although you are an immortal lord, but just like a passerby." "I also know." Wan Potion suddenly became resentful again and said, "So Ergo directly cultivated the chaotic power here. Chaos can give birth to all things, and nature can also destroy all things. Zhu Yun, your chaos lotus is going to thrive." After that, he actually jumped straight onto the immortal ascension platform and said loudly, "I also want to become an immortal. No wonder I haven't been able to practice well recently." Zhu Yun opened his mouth, dumbfounded, and said, "Old Wan, you are an immortal lord, what else are you practicing for? If you are just for the chaos immortal power, there is no need. Wouldn't it be better to just draw it into your body for refining?" "Zhu Yun, are you not being kind?" Wan Potion said angrily, "I didn't know at first, but now I have suffered a secret loss under Ergu, and I finally understand. I don't care, I have to become an immortal. Otherwise, the chaos power here, but if you are not close to me, how can you cultivate the chaos sword?" After scolding, Wan Potion explained it, and Zhu Yun understood it immediately. Wan Potion is the sword master. But he is an immortal lord from the immortal realm outside, and he only has an empty realm here. Under the same rules, he can practice. But it's very awkward. I understand," Zhu Yun figured out the key and couldn't help but smile. "Okay, then I'll let you be promoted to the second immortal." After getting Zhu Yun's consent, Wan Potion grinned and winked at Ergu. "Erguzi, when I become an immortal, you can directly use the chaos immortal power here to see if I don't poke your clothes. When you come out of 3,800 holes, I will take your surname." Ergu frowned and said quickly, "Senior Wan, I am a junior. If you argue with a junior, wouldn't you be said to be bullying the younger generation?" Wan Potion shouted, "When cultivating immortals, the law of the jungle preys on the strong. Weakness is the original sin. If you want to blame yourself for being weak. Just wait. When I am promoted, I will look for you to show off." Ergu was about to cry. Although he also knew that Wan Potion would not hurt him, this hatred could not be resolved. What to do? He looked at Zhu Yun as if asking for help. But he saw Zhu Yun holding back his laughter and turning his head to look at the immortal platform. "Big dog." The second dog looked at the big dog again. The big dog looked solemn, as if he didn't hear it. "Yeah, brother, yeah." Ergu looked at Yezii. Yezii said seriously, "It's not that I don't want to help you, it's mainly because I want to learn how to pierce 3,800 holes with one sword." Ergu begged everyone one by one. But no one was willing to intervene in this matter. Wan Potion looked at Ergu with a smile. He brought all the people here. Who is not his disciple who practices sword? Besides, he is acquainted with Zhu Yun. Who dares to intervene if Zhu Yun doesn't speak? Ergu, just wait for me to ascend to immortality, he. After a strange laugh, Wan Potion suddenly felt something was wrong. It's been so long, why is there no movement at all? Is this immortal still ascending? He turned around and asked, "Why don't you start?" The demons and immortals looked at each other. It was Long Wu who stood up and said, "Old Wan, what's your zodiac sign?" "What's what?" Wan Potion looked confused. How did he know that there was such a thing as zodiac signs in the Liuli immortal realm? If you want to use the trial platform as an immortal platform, you must have some connection. Without any connection, the trial platform is the treasure of the Tianming demon clan. How can it help you ascend to immortality? Zodiac sign, zodiac sign. Zhu Yun stroked his forehead. He knew that Wan Potion had no zodiac sign. Zodiac sign, what the hell? Wan Potion murmured. Old Wan, do you dare to fight me? Iargo suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, jumped onto the trial platform, stretched out his hand and grabbed the air, and condensed the chaotic immortal power into a big knife, and shouted at Wan Potion. He finally understood that Wan Potion could not become an immortal through the trial platform. That's easy. Let you bully me. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Ban Zhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1890. Ergu, wait. Wan Potion was panicking. Even though he was extremely skilled in swordsmanship, he was now without Wanjian Mountain and Chaos Sword. Ergu's realm was lower than his, but he was obviously recognized by this immortal way. He had suffered from the Chaos immortal power before. Wait for you, Ergu laughed and chopped off the big knife in his hand. How crazy you were just now, I will make you miserable now. The clothes on Wan Potion's body were condensed by his own spiritual power, and after entering Liuli Star, all his immortal power was slowly transformed from the Chaos immortal power in the air. But what about Ergu? That was pure Chaos immortal power. That was why he could easily break Wan Potion's defense. Ergu chased Wan Potion, howling on the trial platform, asking for help from the others. But they didn't choose to help Ergu just now, so why would they help Wan Potion at this time? They didn't help just to watch the fun. Zhu Yun let them play around on top, and asked Long Wu, is it okay without the zodiac sign? If I remember correctly, the people who came here this time also have no zodiac sign, right? Long Wu nodded and said, originally, they didn't have any, but after staying in this world for a long time, they will naturally have the power of the zodiac sign. According to the year of birth, corresponding to the flow of time in this world, there will be a corresponding zodiac sign. For example, De Go is also an ox. Yezi is a horse. Lian Nishang is a chicken. Long Wu looked at them one by one, and after pointing out their zodiac signs, he explained to Zhu Yun, because they are of different ages, their past must be integrated with the time here, and the zodiac sign can naturally be calculated. Then the zodiac sign will appear. For example, Zhu Yun, you are a dragon. Zhu Yun knows the order of the zodiac signs. He is more than 2 years younger than De Go and Iargo. Then Old Wan, will he also have a zodiac sign after staying here for a long time? Yes, Long Wu nodded and said, in fact, the main problem is still in himself. In addition to not having been in this Liuli immortal realm for a long time, it is also because he is too old. He is already hundreds of thousands of years old. We want to know his date of birth, but it won't be that fast. Long Wu helped Zhu Yun solve his doubts. So that's how it is. I thought it wouldn't work without a zodiac sign. He thought more long term. If the demons can live in Liuli immortal realm safely, then he may also bring people from the immortal realm in the next step. After they come in, they will inevitably have the same problem as Wan Potion. If they can't become immortals in this immortal world, how can they provide him with the original power of the immortal world? It's not that Zhu Yun is profit-seeking, but he has no idea what he will face. The central immortal realm, the demon realm. There is also an immortal master he doesn't know. In short, unless Zhu Yun is invincible in this fairy world, he will never stop getting stronger. Old Wan, you should come down, don't block other people's way to immortality. Zhu Yun raised his head and shouted at Wan Potion. Zhu Yun, it's not that I won't come down, it's you who should stop go first. His big knife almost shaved my hair off. He, let you bully me. Go also shouted unwillingly. Zuyun chuckled, and then a law of power flashed between his hands. The next moment, the two of them stopped at the same time. Time and space stopped. Since it is known that Wanpotion is not yet completely regarded as the immortal king of this fairy world, then it should be no problem for himself, the Lucian immortal, to deal with him with the law of time and space. Then, Zuyun moved his hands again, and the two disappeared instantly, and then appeared beside him. Okay, stop making trouble, Zuyun said calmly, and turned to the big dog, you go up. Okay. The big dog jumped up. He was also born in the year of the ox, so naturally the ox helped him. After a long time, the big dog also realized the law. But what was surprising was that he realized not the law of the sword, but the law of thunder. He saw a flash of lightning on his body, and he was a little at a loss. Big dog, what's wrong? Zuyun shouted softly, awakening the big dog. Why am I not a sword? The big dog came back to his senses. Is it important whether it is a sword or not? Wanpotion spoke at this time, you use the law of thunder to control my Wuji sword art, which is also quite powerful. Thunder is about the word fast. The momentum of thunder is so fast that it can't cover the airs. Hearing this, Zuyun also remembered his thunder escape art. But then he remembered the relationship between thunder and lightning. All along, even at this time, he thought that thunder and lightning were actually the same law. Until he broke into Zufeng's demon refining tower, there were two floors, which were divided by thunder and lightning. So, thunder and lightning are different. Old Wan, Zuyun turned to look at Wanpotion and said, are thunder and lightning the same? The same, what's the difference? Wanpotion also said with a confused look. Zuyun shook his head and said, I think they are different. You see, the Lord of Wind, Cloud, Thunder, and Lightning in the central fairyland is rumored to be proficient in 4 laws, wind, cloud, thunder, and lightning. After these words came out, Wanpotion was also stunned. Because he really didn't understand these 4 laws. Seeing this, Zuyun didn't say much, he didn't ask the right person. If you meet Zufeng, you can ask him. Now that he can distinguish the two, maybe he can give himself some tips. Okay, you all go up to ascend to immortality one by one. It's time for me and Wei to leave. There is still business to be done in the outside world, and Meng Wei also said that the ancient demon clan may be ready to make a move. Go ahead, let me help you watch over here. Wanpotion said quickly. You'd better stop reading, Zuyun said with a bitter smile, let's wait until Longwu and the others figure out your zodiac sign. However, you and Ergu are no longer fighting. No, we are just joking. Wanpotion knew that he had suffered this secret loss, and he felt hatred in his heart, but there was nothing he could do about it. Ergu knew that Zuyun was also helping him, so he grinned, me too. Zuyun did not leave in a hurry, but waved to bring the dragon suppressing stone here, you should pay more attention to this point. After they become immortals, pay more attention to the changes on the glazed star. Yes, master. Zhenlongxi also nodded solemnly. In the Liulai immortal world, if an immortal who belongs here appears, I think this immortal world will definitely change. He also knew that Zuyun might not have time to take care of this place next. After all, we have to go beyond the Liulai star to the void in the real Liulai immortal world. Okay, then let's walk. Zuyun waved his hand and reappeared on the three-eyed demon star with Meng Wei. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1891. Are you going to find Shi Yuan now? Mengwei asked. Well, let's go together, and then go to the soul-eating demon star to do this. Of course, as we said before, if he refuses, you can choose a closer demon. I know. Mengwei nodded, and the two of them slowly flew up towards the main city. They're back. On the top of the main city, Shi Yuan and Yanzai couldn't help but stand up, feeling a little nervous. They discussed for a long time, but could not reach an agreement. Shi Yuan would not persuade Yanzai to be like him. After all, the situations between the two races are different. The three-eyed demon clan is several times larger than the soul-eating demon clan. Hey, let's take a look. I think Dream Demon Lord and Zuyun won't force others into trouble, right? When Yanzai said this, he was unsure of himself. Shi Yuan sighed and said, even if you don't agree, I hope you will be more sensible and don't offend the Dream Demon Lord. I know it well. Even if no one from the Holy Demon Clan is here, I won't be reckless. Who knows what will happen in the future? Yanzai said the same thing, and the two of them stopped talking and waited quietly for them to land here. Master Sure, we plan to go to your soul-eating demon star first. What do you think? Mengwei said straight to the point. Everything must be obeyed by Dream Demon Lord and Zhu Xianxia. Shi Yuan was slightly stunned. Why didn't he mention Yanzai's three-eyed demon clan? But this was good, as it gave Yanzai more time to think about it, and would not cause any unpleasant conflicts. That's good. Mengwei was actually worried that Shi Yuan would betray him at the critical moment. Seeing that he only hesitated for a moment and agreed, Mengwei felt very happy and turned to look at Zuyun. Zuyun said to Yanzai, Demon Lord Yan, please think about it again. We will leave first. I will come back to you when the soul-eating demon clan has finished its work. He also has his own plans. If the soul-eating demon star can be fully integrated into his glazed immortal realm, then he can try the larger three-eyed demon clan with a larger group size. The reason for choosing the three-eyed demon clan is that people are already familiar with it, and there is no need to look for other demon stars. Although there is no limit to dreams here, isn't that a waste of time? Okay, friend Zuxian, I will also summon the demon kings under my command to discuss it carefully. Yanzai also breathed a sigh of relief, and his words were extremely polite. A few hours later, Zuyun and his party returned to the soul-eating star. Shi Wuja felt Shi Yuan's aura early on and had been waiting in the main city for a long time. Dream Lord. When he saw Mengwei coming with him, Shi Wuja's heart was already in an uproar. Mengwei smiled and said, yes, it's me. It's not surprising that the other person knows him. Unfortunately, Mengwei didn't know Shi Wuja. Of course, she didn't need to know him. Wuja, please call the other two demon lords over. Shi Yuan waved his hand and said. There are 4 demon kings in the soul-eating star, in the entire sea of chaotic stars. It is the smallest number. Although the demon lord is comparable to the immortal lord, his true strength is not that strong. Apart from the laws of immortality, the main reason is that the demon lord is controlled by the demonic energy in his body. Maybe in a short period of time, he can develop the same strength as the immortal lord. But it doesn't last long. Sometimes 3 or 5 breaths are all it takes. Therefore, there may be thousands of demon kings in the entire chaotic star sea. But they couldn't get out of the chaos star sea. Of course, that might happen if all the demons work together. But if that were the case, Mengwei might not be able to calm down the chaotic star sea to this extent. He won't be worried because of the rumors of the ancient demons joining forces. After a while, 2 more demon kings came to this room under the leadership of Shi Wuja. Giving to the incompetent, giving is easy. I've met the Dream Demon Lord, best wishes to my fellow immortals. Shi Wuja had told them in advance, knowing that Mengwei and Zuyun came here for the sake of the clan's safety. As for other information, Shi Wuji himself didn't know it. Okay, to make a long story short, Zhu Yun clapped his hands and said, "Next, I need you to make the final decision. Once you decide to follow me, there will be no turning back. If you go with the flow, you will live, if you go against it, you will die. Because the matter is so important that I can't let the news leak out at this time." While speaking, Meng Wei also took out the magic knife and threw it outside the door of this room. In an instant, the laws of chaos emerged from above, and countless chaotic powers and demonic energies entangled and enveloped the room. Shi Wuyuan's expression changed and he said, "Friend Zhu Xian, Lord Dream Demon, what does this mean?" Zhu Yun smiled faintly and said, "I told you it's a big deal. Demon Master, you can discuss it now. If you don't agree, we will naturally put away the magic weapon and let you go. But, this in the sea of chaotic stars, there is probably no place for you soul-devouring demons in this fairy world. Friend Zhu Xian, can I understand that you are threatening?" Shi Vuninj stood up and said coldly. Zhu Yun was not angry. He shook his head and said, "Even if you don't have me today, you still have to face such a choice. It's just my appearance that gives you one more choice. I won't tell you where I went. All I can say is, it is absolutely safe there are no immortal restrictions, no immortals will discriminate against you, and no one will do anything to you." Meng Wei said coldly, "Demon Lord, you demon kings. To be honest, my ultimate goal of unifying the chaotic sea of stars is actually to take you to the place Zhu Yun mentioned. However, because Zhu Yun the arrival of Yun is just ahead of schedule, I can only tell you that there is the paradise of our demon clan. Believe it or not, of course we will not take action against you four demon kings. Even if you can win by taking action, it will still waste a lot of time." The words were not polite, but the four demon lords also understood the meaning. It is true that Meng Wei still has a lot to do, and they all know it. Shi Wuyuan finally spoke and said, "Well, friend Zhu Xian, can I ask, should we four demon kings leave first, or should all the clansmen leave together?" Zhu Yun had never thought about this problem. He looked at Shi Wuyuan, then at the other three demon lords, and finally asked Xiang Mengwei, "Can the demon sword keep this place safe?" Mengwei chuckled lightly and said, "I dare not say it in the immortal world, but I am afraid no one can break through the chaos of the sea of stars." "Good." Zhu Yun clapped his hands and said, "In that case, I will take the four demon lords to visit that place." He also has a new idea. He will inevitably encounter such problems in the future. It is impossible for everyone to answer charades with them. It's better to let these four demon kings experience it for themselves, and then let them become the lobbyists of the Liuli immortal realm. Four demon lords, if you can trust me, relax your mind at this time and don't offer any resistance." Shi Wuyuan narrowed his eyes, turned to the other three people and said, "Just listen to what friend Zhu Xian says." Having said that, he took the lead in letting go of his mind and gathering all the demonic energy into his demonic body. The other three followed suit. Zhu Yun suddenly stood up, and the power of the law of time and space flashed above his eyebrows. The next moment, a black hole suddenly swallowed them up. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1892. Where is this? For a moment, the four demon kings thought they were going to die. But as soon as they thought about it, they appeared in a brand new world. In addition to the chaotic immortal power lingering around them, what surprised them even more was the reaction in their bodies. There is no suppression of the immortal rules. This is also the immortal world. At this time, Zhu Yun's voice sounded in their ears, and the four demon kings immediately turned their heads and saw Meng Wei standing next to Zhu Yun. She was also smiling, but she was hesitant to speak, obviously leaving it to Zhu Yun to explain. "Immortal world, why is there no suppression of immortals?" Shi Wuyan asked excitedly. One of the two major problems faced by their demon clan is the suppression of immortals. Because the immortals here will not suppress the demon clan, or in other words, will not suppress any living beings. Zuyun raised his eyebrows. He did not say it at the first time. This is his Liuli immortal world. No suppression, then what do you mean? Shi Huiyan had already guessed the answer, and wanted to ask Zuyun to confirm it, but he was so excited that he couldn't speak. That's what you think, Zuyun smiled lightly, and then looked up at the sky and said, let's fly up and see what happens, how about it? The demon kings had already lost their opinions. There was no suppression from the immortal way here, so they naturally trusted Zuyun very much. In this way, they can use all the spirit and demon energy in their bodies to practice and strengthen themselves, instead of confronting the immortal way. Everything is up to you, immortal friend Zhu. The four demon kings said in unison. That's great, Zuyun chuckled and looked at the Jixian mountain in the distance. The Chaos Lotus was still the same. He retracted his gaze and said, let's go. He had not personally experienced the universe outside the Liuli star. If he wanted to understand the outside world, he had to see if there would be other suppress ions on Shi Huiyan and others. If not, then the next step would be to try to put the soul-devouring demon star in it. If that doesn't work, we can only temporarily place these soul-devouring demons on the glazed star. Fortunately, the glazed star is wide enough. Not to mention the soul-devouring demons, adding a three-eyed demon is no problem at all. Everyone flew up and flew towards the sky. The appearance of these demons also attracted the attention of the creatures here. However, they also found Zuyun and knew that they didn't need to come. But when they flew up to the sky, Shi Huiyan and others also saw the fairy light rising into the sky in the distance. He could tell that it was a sign of someone ascending to immortality. Frowning, Shi Huiyan still asked, friend Zuxian, is this, the lower realm? It doesn't matter what realm it is, Meng Wei had actually been paying attention to him. Seeing him ask this question, he naturally guessed that it was due to the immortal platform over there, so he said, the important thing is that the demons can survive here and reproduce without any threats, right? What Lord Meng said is right. Shi Huiyan retracted his gaze, thinking in his heart, wasn't Zuyun taking them away from here? Even if this is the lower realm, then after flying out of this world, the outside must be the real immortal realm, right? However, he still had some doubts about this place. If there was anything that was the same as the immortal realm, it was the chaotic immortal power flowing in the air. But if there was anything different, it was naturally the process of those who were transforming from ordinary people into immortals. In addition, there were too many differences from the immortal realm. Shi Huiyan had lived in the Chaos Star Sea for a long time. Although he was not recognized by the immortal way, he had adapted to the immortal realm, so he could naturally find the difference from his own feelings. But since Meng Wei had spoken, he could not continue to ask Zuyun. The other three demon kings did not speak anymore, but carefully felt the changes in their bodies. Because they were facing the same situation, the spirit of the innate demon in their bodies no longer needed to resist the pressure of the immortal way, so it naturally acted on their bodies. Their aura was increasing. Zuyun also thought of this problem keenly, and he could not help but be a little more cautious in his heart. He was not afraid that they would hurt him. He was afraid that they would attack Meng Wei. They were getting stronger, but Meng Wei had not changed much. Moreover, Meng Wei himself had not reached the level of a demon king. Fortunately, there was no danger along the way. Shi Huiyan did not make any unusual movements, and they did not take action, which made Zuyun slightly relieved. He had been observing the reactions of these demon kings. If one of them had a different mind, Zuyun would kill them here without hesitation. It would be better not to let the demons in here, and not to let them become a factor of instability in the Liuli immortal realm. When you are warm and well fed, you will think about lust. Zuyun was afraid that if they were not suppressed, they would have other ideas. Flying into the void of the universe, they saw the vast and boundless void of the universe. Friend Zhu, what does this mean? Zuyun stopped, and Shi Huiyan also looked around, and then asked. Do you feel anything strange in your body? Zuyun did not answer, but asked a question first. In the body. The four demon kings were stunned, and then hurriedly checked their bodies. After finding that they were fine, they shook their heads in confusion. They didn't know what Zuyun meant. It's good if there is none, Zuyun chuckled and said, let's see, where do you think is better to put your soul-devouring demon star? Put the soul-devouring demon star. Shi Huiyan's face changed, and he immediately knew what Zuyun meant. This is to move their entire demon star here? But before, the black hole that swallowed them was not big. Does Master Shi suspect that I can't do it? Zuyun raised his eyebrows and deliberately asked this question. In fact, it was also to establish his authority. If it succeeds, the soul-devouring demon clan will certainly obey his orders. In this way, he can set the rules, and they dare not have any other intentions, so that the Liuli immortal realm will not be in chaos because of the addition of the demon clan. I dare not, Shi Huiyan said hurriedly, I am just afraid that the soul-devouring demon star is too big. Zuyun said disapprovingly, no matter how big the soul-devouring demon star is, how big can it be as big as this Huanya void? No. Now, the four demon lords all shook their heads. That's it, Zuyun put away his expression, a gleam in his eyes, and said in a deep voice, this is my fairy land. This is also the fortune I told Wuja demon lord. It is also the brand new way out that Wuja told you. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the four demon lords changed drastically. This fairy land is. They have been in the fairy land for a long time, and naturally they have heard that some fairy lords in the fairy land have been searching for a higher path, but have never been able to do so, and some have tried to refine a world, but have never heard of anyone succeeding. Unexpectedly, Zuyun, the Lucian immortal, not only has a world, but also an existence comparable to the fairy land. Seeing that they were shocked by his words, Zuyun decided to cut the Gordian knot and make them convinced directly. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1893. Do you know why there is no pressure from the immortal way? Zuyun's words brought them back to their senses, and they all looked at Zuyun. Zuyun chuckled and said, because I am the immortal here. After the words fell, the laws of time and space suddenly circulated around him, and Zuyun was even more gentle. In an instant, these four people felt a huge fairy power, which enveloped them instantly. Not just outside the body, but also in every corner of the body. Skin and flesh, bones and blood, black scales. It's everywhere, making it difficult for them to move. In fact, even thinking has stopped. But they completely understood it. Zuyun is going to establish your authority. We are willing to surrender to the immortal lord. After all, he was the demon lord, and he immediately understood what Zuyun meant, and even chose to surrender. It was also when these words fell that the power of the laws of time and space disappeared. They also recovered. Recalling the feeling they had in the last moment, they felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They also truly understood what Zuyun said before, after entering, it was either life or death, there was no other choice. Because a Lucian immortal can actually have a fairy land. If the news spreads, I'm afraid not only the people in the fairy world will go crazy, but the entire demon world will also go crazy. The living conditions in the demon world are extremely harsh. If this were not the case, how would they open up an entire interface and go outside to find a way out? Zuyun was a little surprised that they were so decisive. However, it was reasonable, after all, he only came into contact with two demon lords. In contrast, Shi Yuan's desire to follow him was stronger. Very good. Zuyun immediately withdrew his pressure and showed a smile. He liked such straightforward people. He pointed forward and said, "How about placing the soul-eating demonic star here? I am willing to follow the instructions of the immortal master." The four demon lords spoke in unison, with extremely pious tones. "In that case, I have to start preparations." Zuyun looked at Mengwei and said, "Let's go back first. Later, Wei, you can tell them some rules of Liulai immortal world." "Good." Mengwei smiled sweetly. Things went smoothly unexpectedly, which made her feel quite good. After bringing the four demon lords back to Liulai Star, Zuyun left directly and returned to the main city of soul-eating demon star. The restriction set by the magic knife was still stuck outside the door. Zuyun's heart moved and his figure suddenly dodged away. He touched his chin, but did not help Mengwei take away the magic knife. "This can be left here as a mark for the time being. I will fly away first." Zuyun did not alert anyone, or in other words, no one on the soul-eating demonic star could threaten Zuyun, and naturally he would not be discovered. After returning to the void in the sea of chaotic stars, Zuyun found some fairy crystals. "It's true that I haven't set up an immortal formation in Huanyu, but this doesn't trouble me." He took a deep breath and spilled all the fairy crystals in his hands. There were tens of thousands of them, which took him more than half an hour. "That's almost it." He scanned the surroundings with his divine eye technique and found that there was no living creature. Then he felt a move in his heart and set up the immortal formation. These 10,000 fairy crystals turned into stars in an instant, and at the same time, Zuyun's figure and the soul-eating demonic star seemed to have disappeared here. "The immortal formation is complete, no one will disturb this place anymore. The next step is to try to incorporate the soul-eating demonic star into my glazed immortal realm to become a star of its own." Zuyun had experience in this area, but it was only when he was a monk. At that time, whether it was the barren stone mountain or the Qingping immortal kingdom, there were still many uncertain factors. Moreover, at that time, he used the fairy mirror to face the lower world. Now, it is the fairy world versus the fairy world. There may be some problems in this. However, Zuyun also thought broadly and did not think that he could succeed in one go. This is also the reason why he set up the immortal formation. Even if you fail, it doesn't matter, you can still think of another way. But if you don't try, you will never be able to bring these magic stars into your own glazed fairy world. Call. Zuyun exhaled a breath of turbid air, and then the chaos immortal power suddenly arose in his body. Almost at the same time, drastic changes also occurred on Liulai Star. On the Jixian mountain, the countless blooming chaos lotuses spurted out countless pure chaos power, rushing towards the immortal mansion. What happened? The four demon lords had just landed and were listening carefully to Mengwei's instructions, but they did not expect to encounter such a change. Although the majestic immortal power had no effect on them, it still frightened them to such an extent. If it comes against them, I'm afraid it's doomed. Mengwei chuckled lightly and said, "It seems that Zuyun is preparing to bring in the soul-eating demon star. If you don't want to worry, come with me." Seeing their expressions like this, Mengwei took the initiative to take them into the immortal mansion. The chaotic force here is stronger, but it seems to have a pattern, but the momentum is smaller. The four demon lords were all relieved, and then they took stock of the immortal mansion. Mengwei said lightly, "This is Zuyun's fairy mansion. Apart from me, it seems that no other demons have entered it. Don't worry, Master Dream Demon, what will the immortal master say when the time comes? Even if we don't say we will risk our lives through fire and water, we will definitely die with all our might." Shi Huiyan immediately expressed his opinion. Before this, he was very afraid of death. Because he was afraid that after his death, there would be one less demon king on the soul-devouring demon star, and it would be hard to guarantee that they would not be oppressed by the rest of the demon clan, making it more difficult for the clan to continue. But if Zuyun placed the soul-devouring demon star here, it would be equivalent to no threat, so they would naturally be willing to work for Zuyun. No worries. No need to do that, Meng Wei smiled. I have said before that Zuyun does not like killing. Letting you enter the Liuli immortal realm is just to prevent greater conflicts in the immortal realm. However, the chaos in the immortal realm sometimes requires violence to be fought with violence. When you are needed, you will do your best. She already knew that the troubles that Zuyun needed to solve were huge, and it was not something that he, a Lucian immortal, could solve now. If the Demon King helped, it might become easier. We understand. Shi Huiyan and the other four bowed repeatedly. Stay here, I'll continue to tell you what to pay attention to when the time comes. Just as Meng Wei finished speaking, a red light flashed in the immortal mansion, and the dragon-suppressing stone also turned into a human form and fell down. The master's temper is actually very good. And this Liuli immortal realm is not only for human demons to survive. On the other side of this Liuli star, there is a sea area, where there are descendants of foreign demons and monsters, and the master has not done anything to them. This statement surprised the four demon kings. Here. There are actually descendants of foreign demons living. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1894. Is it weird? Zhenlongxi glanced at them and continued, in short, you are not allowed to do things that are strictly forbidden by the master. If you are not sure about things that have not been said, you can come and ask me. What do you call this, demon friend? Shi Huiyuan felt that the aura of the dragon-suppressing stone was very weak, and it might be able to intervene in their conversation with Meng Wei, which showed that the dragon-suppressing stone's status was not low. You can just call me Town Elder. Zhenlongxi rolled his eyes and saw that they were respectful, and he also had this idea in his heart. I've seen Zhenlong. There is no doubt that he is among the four demon lords, and it is true that the person transformed by the dragon-suppressing stone is also an old man. He. Zhenlongxi's vanity was satisfied, and he was very proud of himself. He said to Meng Wei, the mistress is going to have a rest. Let the little one come here. Then let you come, I'll go outside and take a look. Meng Wei also smiled and agreed, but she was worried about the ascension platform. It was already next to Xianxia Mountain, and now Zuyun was outside preparing to bring in the soul-eating demonic star, which would cause the chaos lotus in Xianxia Mountain to mutate. He was afraid that Big Dog and Ergu and the others would also be affected. She is already very familiar with the Liuli world, and she has also cultivated the chaos immortal power due to the magic sword, so she will naturally not be affected by this place. Facing the chaos immortal power, Meng Wei flew up and landed at the trial platform shortly after. At this moment, the one who is practicing above is none other than Lian Nishang. Lian Nishang is a tiger, and the tiger demon fairy is using the power of her zodiac sign to guide her to integrate the laws. There is no surprise. When Lian Nishang was in the lower realm, he had a single spiritual root of the fire system. At this time, he was recognized by the fire system law and was in the process of enlightenment. Young Palace Master. When the big dog and the two dogs saw Meng Wei coming over, their faces lit up and they whispered in unison. It won't have any impact, right? Meng Wei nodded, and then pointed to the Xianxia Mountain. It has no impact. The demon fairies used totem poles to separate this place slightly. The chaotic fairy power will not affect this place. There is also something strange about the glazed world, that is, after all these people became immortals on the immortal platform, they used the power of chaos immortal. Maybe this is because there is only this kind of immortal power here. Therefore, they discovered the changes in the chaos immortal power immediately. But they all have experience and know that Zuyun must be doing important things. As long as it has no impact, Mengwei chuckled and said, "Where is the sword immortal? Is he gone?" "He must have left," Ergu chuckled. "He couldn't find his zodiac sign for a while. The fairies couldn't help him even if they wanted to, and they were afraid that I would kill him with a knife." He shook his head, his pigtails swaying back and forth. The big dog also said, "I walked too fast. Originally, I wanted to ask him to give me guidance. How did I realize the law of thunder? Logically speaking, I practiced the sword overlord art and followed the domineering path. You should understand the law of power." Mengwei also saw the scene at that time, but she did not speak. At this time, when she heard Big Dog mention it again, she couldn't help but smile. Isn't thunder also very domineering? Nine Heavens Thunder Tribulation, never unreasonable, said, "Come on, come on." This unintentional remark gave the big dog a slap in the face. Yes, when he broke the infant and transformed into a god, the thunder calamity was extremely overbearing. It came just as he was told, and he was never prepared at all. Ergu also said on the side, "Big dog, it seems that it was the same when I broke through. The law of thunder sounds very powerful." "Really?" Daegu was immediately at a loss because he encountered the same problem as Zuyun. Thunder and lightning. However, Mengwei and Ergu didn't know what he was thinking. They didn't realize the rules in this regard, so naturally they couldn't be disturbed. The two of them continued to look at the immortal platform. Little did he know that Chaos Lotus was also taking advantage of the huge changes on the glazed star to start making moves. In Huanyu, Zuyun was using the Chaos Immortal power and the law of time and space all over his body to try his best to expand the black hole between his eyebrows, so as to suck the soul-eating demonic star into his body and send it to the glazed immortal realm. And on the three-eyed demon star far away, Zhu Feng has also successfully found a tower sword. This was brand new and cost him some immortal crystals. Immortal crystals are also common in the Chaos Star Sea. Zhu Feng didn't have many, but he killed many demons and took a lot from them. Fortunately, these fairy world storage bags were not left in the demon refining tower. Zhu Feng murmured, and after realizing that no one was paying attention to him, he flew into the sky through the night. The three-eyed demon star could not get any news about the whale-swallowing demon clan, and without the help of the demon refining tower and Aniao, he faced the problem that Aniao was worried about. If he devours demons again, I'm afraid he will really become a demon. However, he has devoured too many demon clans, and the demons he may conjure up in time will be like 4 different demon clans, possessing the characteristics of various demon clans. It seems that the only option is to devour the demon clan first, but now even if I try to kill people, I still can't devour them. Instead of taking such a risk, I might as well change my plan and go find Mengwei. He heard Zuyun mention Mengwei's identity, and learned that Mengwei was not only in the chaotic sea of stars, but also had a transcendent identity. He was also careful, and he casually inquired about the holy demon star before leaving. The soul-eating demon clan didn't give him much information, so Zhu Feng only knew that the holy demon star was in the deepest part of the Chaos Star Sea. The first time Zhu Feng flew out of the soul-devouring star, he felt something in his heart. He looked into the distance, but could not see anything. It's strange, I always feel, someone seems to be devouring something extremely huge. Devouring the demon clan? Impossible. These demons outside the Chaos Star Sea have never heard of the devouring demon clan, which means they have never been active here. Such a huge devouring power, could it be that the passage to the demon realm appeared here? Zhu Feng didn't know much about the fairyland, and more of it was just some superficial guesses. After hesitating for a while, he decided to go to the holy demon star. He didn't dare to take the risk, so it was more reliable to find Mengwei. As Zhu Feng went away. Also in the depths of the Chaos Star Sea, parallel to a wasteland hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Holy Demon Star. Several demons in the realm of the Demon Lord sat together with fierce faces. The Chaos Star Sea also belongs to the fairyland, so there are naturally wastelands. And many ancient demons who were thought to have disappeared are actually hiding in the wasteland. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are barely surviving. However, some demons with demon lords still exist are unwilling to be ruled by the Holy Demon Clan. The Holy Demon Clan has broken the rules of our entire demon clan. Since she dares to do so, don't blame us for the devouring demon clan and dying with them. Anyway, there are only 100 or so people left in the devouring demon clan. We will also make a profit by dragging the Holy Demon Clan to be buried with them. Golden Demon Lord, another demon lord with a single horn on his head, said lightly, "There is no rush for the matter. The Holy Demon Clan has at least given us time to consider. Don't act on impulse. Humph, you cowards, you are used to hiding in the wilderness, and you have lost your spirit." Jin Zhen stood up with a look of disdain. "Since you don't want to, then I will take the whole clan over and directly swallow the entire Holy Demon Star, so that her Mengwei can also taste the feeling of being homeless in the Chaos Star Sea. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1895. There are strange movements in the sea of chaotic stars, and there is also unrest in the immortal world. The biggest change is the chaos in the Tongtian immortal realm. Xian Wuzong used Zimenu Enqing and Dongfang Bai to obtain the Chaos Mud. After he also left, Tongtian Immortal Master began to use Chaos Mud to repair the entire entrance to Chaos. As long as this entrance is filled up, the Chaos Immortal power in the entire Chaos will be available to me. I believe that by then, I will be able to refine the Time Universe and Space Universe, and then incorporate the entire immortal world into my body. Immortal Lord Tongtian murmured, but it revealed endless expectations. After being an immortal master for countless years, he finally found a way to set foot in the upper world. And this step was almost ruined by Ye Yang, a person outside the Tongtian immortal realm. There is a hole in the chaos, making it difficult for the chaos power here to be concentrated, and it will flow out of the fairy world, forming large tracts of fairy snow in Mayanbei Fairy Kingdom. The same is true. After he was trapped in chaos, he couldn't come out at all. If it weren't for the immortal Wuxiang who could be dispatched, I'm afraid he would stay here forever. However, Xian Wuxing knows too much. When this immortal master goes out, he will die, and so will the Ji family. The voice of immortal Lord Tongtian slowly echoed in the chaos, and finally disappeared into nothingness. At the same time, there is a passage to the Devil world. The Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan came out in full force to gather here. "Have you brought your Phoenix Fairy Pearl over?" the Dragon King asked the Phoenix King. "I brought it here, but I don't know where Zuyun is." King Feng shook his head and then asked, "Where's Queen Huang, how's it going?" "Still by the Hualong Pond." The Dragon King replied and turned to look deeper into the passage. "Then what's the point of us staying here?" King Feng frowned and said, "King Yesian asked us to follow Zuyun, but right now we don't know where Zuyun has gone." "Chaotic Star Sea, where else can we go?" The Dragon King curled his lips. In comparison, he knew more than the Phoenix King. "How about you use Fengju to contact him?" The Phoenix King threw the fairy bead in his hand, and the Dragon King subconsciously took it, stuffed it into his arms quickly, and said angrily, "Why don't you contact me yourself? Just throw it over here, just in case an extraterrestrial demon appears and takes it away, or maybe there's suction in the demon world's passage and the beads are sucked away. Isn't that a bad thing?" "How can it be such a coincidence?" Feng Wang disagreed and said, "I know that the extraterrestrial demons in the demon world must be waiting for the opportunity, but this opportunity must be possible when all the demons and immortals in the entire fairy world move together. The evil immortals in the southern immortal realm must not be able to cause any trouble. After all, Purgatory Mountain is not a vegetarian. The Dragon King gave a bitter smile and said, "You don't know, right? Purgatory Mountain is still in the northern immortal realm. Northern Fairyland." King Feng was stunned and asked in shock, "When did you go there?" "Alas," the Dragon King sighed and said, "you are right if you don't know. You have been staying in your own Chinese immortal domain. You can't go out, and the outside world won't reveal bad news to you. Stop talking. We can just wait here for Zuyun to come out. If something happens and Zuyun is still here, we will use this Phoenix Pearl to inform him." Both of them knew that Zuyun was in the Sea of Chaotic Stars, but they were not sure where he was. The Chaos Star Sea is smaller than the Immortal Domain, but there are more stars in it, and their rotation is almost irregular. Therefore, it is only possible to identify the direction, but it is difficult to determine the location. After the Dragon King finished speaking, he threw the fairy bead back to the Phoenix King. But at this moment, a fairy light flashed through. The next moment, the Immortal Pearl has been obtained by an Immortal Lord. Who? The expressions of the Dragon King and Phoenix King changed, and they each used their own power to cover the location of the fairy bead. But the two huge forces failed. "Ha ha ha, it's me." Xian Wuxing appeared. When the Dragon King and Phoenix King were shocked, Xian Wuxing stuffed the fairy beads into his eyes. An extremely mysterious fairy power surged out of Xian Wuxing's eyes, but it had a malicious look. "Dragon King, Phoenix King. Why are you looking at me like this? This is just returning the property to its original owner." The Dragon King and Phoenix King are the divine beasts of the immortal world, so they naturally recognize Xian Wuxing, and they also know that he is not the immortal master. "Xian Wuxing, why did you take away our fairy beads?" The Phoenix King gave a low shout, and Phoenix fire emerged from his hands. The scorching fire was extremely red. "I said this is my eyeball. It was just dug out by Ye Yang and used as an immortal weapon for you." Xian Wuxing opened his mouth with one eye, gnashing his teeth, and his face was extremely terrifying. "So what about your eyes?" The Dragon King took a step forward and snorted coldly, "Since you were dug out by King Yesian, it must mean that you saw something you shouldn't have seen. I can only say that it was a good dig. Yes, since King Yesian gave it to us, it is ours. If we don't return it, don't blame us and the other two divine beasts for being rude." "You're welcome." Xian Wuzong said with a ferocious smile, "How can I be rude? It seems that you are going to fall out, so don't blame us for not giving the Immortal Lord face." The Dragon King shouted loudly, turned around, and quickly transformed into his true body, rushing towards Xian Wuxing. The dragon power on his body shook, and it actually attracted some world stars not far away. In the blink of an eye, they fell apart and became a desolate state wandering in the fairy world. As soon as the Dragon King moved, the other dragon lords also moved and transformed into their true bodies one after another, trying to block Xian Wuxing's path. "Ha ha ha, I want to leave, but no one can stop me." Xian Wuzong's forehead flashed with fairy light, and the tortoise shell appeared out of thin air and quickly covered his body. Instantly, Xian Wuzong was like a turtle, retracting his head and limbs into it, and slowly flew towards the southwest. There, it was the location of the Chaos Star Sea, but it was just a little far away. "Phoenix King, why don't you do it?" The Dragon King saw that only the Dragon Clan was dispatched, but the Phoenix King stood there and watched, and the Phoenix fire that had been condensed for a long time did not make a move, so he immediately shouted, "No, no, old dragon, you should come back." The Phoenix Pearl was taken away, but the Phoenix King was calmer than the Dragon King. "Phoenix King, you..." The Dragon King was stunned, but he was indeed much calmer. The Immortal Lord was blasted into the chaos by the Immortal King Ye, and Xian Wuzong has been missing for a long time. This sudden appearance, must be a change in the immortal world. We can't be led away by him. The Phoenix King looked back at the deep and abyssal passage to the demon world and said, the immortal Xianxia asked us to stay here, there must be a deep meaning for him, don't let Xian Wuzong run away. You mean? The Dragon King's vertical pupils flashed with a sharp light, and he said in a low voice, in order to escape from the chaos, the immortal lord may have contact with the outer demons. Yes, the Phoenix King took a deep breath and withdrew the phoenix fire from his hand, saying, for so many years, we seem to have been played around by others. Think about it, if there was no immortal king yet to guide us, perhaps we would have become the immortal tools in the hands of the evil immortal, or something else. Hearing this, the Dragon King also suddenly woke up.